Welcome to part 2 of the Launchkey Mini for Beginners series, where we are covering the basics of making music with the Launchkey with the included Ableton Live Lite software. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, I will link it down below. I highly encourage you follow this series from the beginning so we can build on everything that we've been learning. And also, we are going to pick up exactly where we left off in part 1. So if you haven't yet, go watch part 1 and then come back here. These courses take a lot of time to put together, write, shoot, edit, all of that. So I got to thank DistroKid for sponsoring this chapter of the course, and also my channel members. Channel members get access to ad-free versions of these episodes as well as early access to future episodes. If you want to find out more about that, click the join button down below. To get started, we're going to pick up exactly where we left off in part 1. So load up your project where we've got the analog piano instrument and a couple clips that we recorded last time. Let's get right into it. It's time to talk about clip launching with your Launchkey. Since it's time to do something new, we're going to have to change the pad modes again. So I'm going to hold Shift and I'm going to press DAW, because remember the DAW mode is actually like 2 modes, and we're going to go into clip mode now instead of sequence mode, which we were on before. Now you can see 2 green clips. These are our clips that we're playing. They're actually the same 2 clips that we see on the screen here in Ableton Live. And you might notice that whatever track we're focused on, like whatever track we click on, a little red light is going to go on that specific selected track. And that red pad indicates that there is a clip slot to record into. And if we look at the screen on the synth track, which I have selected, our first track, you're going to see a little circle in this clip, which a circle indicates a record button. You're not going to see red here in the drums, which I'm not going to click on. You're going to see a square, which indicates a stop button. More on that in a bit. But something that will be most useful to us now is some way to stop these clips individually, because right now we can press play and both of these clips are playing. But what if I wanted to just stop the synth or just stop the drums? That's where this function button comes into play. I'm going to tap the function button once, which is now going to convert this bottom row of pads to be stop buttons. The red illuminated lights here don't mean the same thing as the red illuminated light from before. Don't be confused. Now they represent stop buttons. So I'm going to press play. And if I tap this red button, the drums turn off. If I tap this red button, the synth turns off. But now we can see these 2 clips here are no longer green because they're not playing anymore. They're just the color that they are in the DAW, or a close color to what they are in the DAW. If I tap one of these again, starts playing again. By the way, since I've got the synth track selected, I can still have fun with these macros. Do a little synth solo by stopping the drums. And let's bring the drums back in. Something very important to note here though, I'm going to press play to stop it from playing for now. Something important to note is that when I'm starting, these clips come in right away. But if I press a stop button, the drums aren't going to stop right away. And if you notice, if I cue the drums in again, they don't start right away, but everything's still in sync, right? Same thing for the synth. It took a little bit to stop there, and it's going to take a little bit to come back in. That is called launch quantization, and it's an important part of Ableton Live and how timing works with different clips like this. Essentially, the song has a pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going in cycles of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 1 in that cycle is the downbeat. And launch quantization keeps everything in sync by making sure that actions happen on that downbeat. So just count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The change happened on 1, right? Let's bring the drums back in. Keep count. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take the synth out. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The groups of 4 in the rhythm is something, if you're brand new to music, it might be a little bit of a foreign concept. But as you listen to music, start to feel that pulse. Start to count in your head and try to feel where that downbeat is. And you'll get a better idea of how to control your music. It will also explain why when you immediately hit a button while the music is playing, why the change isn't happening instantaneously every time. Just feel the music, and you'll know when to expect the change to happen on that downbeat. So, for our purposes, the stop buttons are very useful because we've got 2 clips going and it's fun to stop them and cue them back in, that sort of thing. But there's other functions for this bottom row of pads here as well. If I press function again, we go into mute mode, which are these yellow pads. If I play back my clips, muting is different than stopping a clip because the clip is still playing when it's muted. It's just we can't hear it. It doesn't actually stop the clip, it just mutes it. That should be self-explanatory. Press function again, and we're in solo mode. That means if I solo a track, we can only hear that track. So now we can only hear the synth. Let's solo the drums. We can only hear the drums. They're getting their own little drum solo until I turn that off. And then pressing function again brings us back to clip launch mode. And I mentioned this little red light here, which indicates that we have the ability to record a new clip in there. We're not quite there yet, but we can manually draw in our own clip. By going into Ableton Live, let's select our drum track if you haven't yet. And in this second clip slot, I'm going to right click and insert empty MIDI clip. Now we get something that's a little familiar. We've seen this screen before, but there are no notes here. And we touched on this before, but we can draw in notes here. And if you notice along the left-hand side, we have the names of each individual drums. And if you notice here, that actually indicates the keyboard. So it's totally reflective of a MIDI keyboard, white and black keys. We call this the piano roll for that reason. So I've got the bass drum here, and now in this row across and on this grid, if I double click within these rectangles, I can draw in notes. So I'm just going to draw in a random pattern here, and you can see that since we created that new clip, we now have a new clip to launch on our Launchkey. So let's go ahead and press that clip. I might add just maybe a couple more drums here. And now, since this bottom row, this is just clip launch mode, this isn't stop clip mode or anything like that. This is a clip, and so is this, our previous clip. Now I can switch back and forth between them. And you've probably noticed this, but you can only play 1 clip per track. So think of these as like different loops. And since we're on the drum track, these are just 2 different drum loops that we can choose from. And they're abiding by that rule of launch quantization. They're always going to come in on a downbeat. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now also, since the drum track is the track we have selected and it's the armed track, the one that we're controlling with the controller, as indicated by this little red icon here, the synth track, which we do not have selected, there's no clip here. It matches the software perfectly, right? 2 clips here, 1 clip here, and an empty clip slot here. While a sequence is playing and a track is not armed, empty clip slots act as stop buttons. This is indicated by that little square in the clip slot that I alluded to earlier, but that functions as a stop button. So now we can launch between these different clips, we can stop clips, we can change the function so we can stop all the clips. But let's say I want to launch both of these clips in this row at the same time. It would be easy enough just to push the buttons at the same time, but if we get multiple loops later on, that might be a little more difficult. So now we can use this button right here, which is a scene launch button. A scene is a horizontal row of clips. So let's go ahead and press that. And now both of those clips are launched. Stop the synth. You'll notice that I can't really stop these drums from here unless I stop the whole project. But don't forget, you can go to function and use that stop function. I'm going to switch back to clip launch mode. All right, before we go any further, let me quickly tell you about today's sponsor, DistroKid. If you are trying to get your music up on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, even TikTok and Instagram Reels, I've been using DistroKid since well before they ever sponsored the channel. They just make things super easy and you pay once per year and you can upload as much music as you want. They also have other bonus features besides just distributing your music. Like you can generate promo cards for your releases. They've got hyperfollow so you can build a single link so people can find all of the ways to listen to your music. And they've even got a Spotify canvas generator, which is that little looping video that plays when you listen to music on Spotify. Well, they got a bunch of stock videos there for you to choose from and create your own Spotify canvas, so you don't have to be a music producer, an art director, a videographer, a photographer. It just takes some of that work off of your plate and it's included in your DistroKid account. So if you are looking for a distributor and some of those features sound cool, use my link in the description. You can get 7% off, get your music out there into the world, especially as we continue to build up our skills with the Launchkey. You're going to make stuff, you're going to want the world to hear it. All right, that's all. Link in the description. When you support the sponsor, you support the channel. Let's get back in with the Launchkey. Now, so far at this point, we've been using this drum track, track 2, and this synth track on track 1. And by the way, I noticed when I select the synth track, there's nothing here in this bottom window. It's because we don't have any clip selected. So I can click on this clip and see the notes. I actually had this empty clip slot selected, which is why it says no clip selected. And don't forget that this bottom window, we can switch to view our actual synth device. But the point being, we're using tracks 1 and 2 for a synth and a drum kit. There are 2 other tracks that are just lingering here, stalking us. Those are our audio tracks, and we're not really using those right now, so we can get rid of them. So I'm just going to click the track title bar and press delete. Same thing for the next one, until we're only left with our synth and our drums. But we do have the ability to add up to 8 tracks in Ableton Live Lite at least. So if we wanted to add some new instrument, we could certainly do that by selecting an instrument from the side panel here and just clicking and dragging it in. Don't drag it onto one of our existing tracks. That will totally replace the sound that we already have. Drag it into this empty space right here. And now we have this new track, which our rules still apply on our Launchkey. We can navigate between these different tracks, which will automatically arm them. So I can go to my original synth, over to my drums, and then over to that new synth, which we just put there. This is how we start building up the instrumentation for our music, by selecting different sounds, adding them to our project, creating loops with them. But so far, we've been just sequencing notes on this grid. We haven't played any notes in live, really. So what I'm going to do is navigate back over to that original synth, the analog piano preset, which we should all have loaded up. And I'm going to delete the clip that we have here. Click on it, click on the clip, and press delete. Actually, I want to make sure our project is not playing, so I'm just going to make sure that this play light is not illuminated and that I hit stop here at the top of our project. And for this next step, we're going to make a couple changes in the software. First, we're going to turn on our metronome by pressing this button here with the 2 circles. Next, we're going to lower the tempo of our project so things are a bit slower and it's easier to play. I'm going to go to the tempo setting here, which says 120, and I'm going to click and drag down. And I'm going to bring that to about 60, cut it in half so it's nice and slow. The next thing I'll do is go to Live's preferences or settings, find record, warp, and launch, and double check that count in is set to 1 bar. Sometimes by default, it defaults to none. So just make sure that's set to 1 bar. And I'll explain why in a moment. Nonetheless, make sure no clips are playing. You can do that by just pressing the stop button here at the bottom of each track, or this stop button here on the main track, which will stop all clips playing in the project, and then just press the play button on your Launchkey. And you should be hearing a nice, steady metronome. And if you notice, that one pitch of that metronome is higher, and then there's 3 lower pitches. The higher pitch indicates 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's also reflected here in the software. If we look at this center number right here, it's counting the beats. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's press play again and stop that for now. If you remember launch quantization, which we talked about earlier, this is going to come into play once again when recording in real time with our Launchkey. First, let's find 3 notes that we like. Make sure you're in a note range that you want to play in. The C2 to C4 range is fine for this. And maybe find 3 notes that sound good in sequence. Of course, if you're a more proficient keyboard player, feel free to play something more advanced. But for those of us real beginners, just find 3 notes that work together in a pattern. Now press play again and listen to the metronome and try to play them along with the metronome. Just 3 notes. 1, 3. Now, the reason I'm saying play 3 notes is because this is moving in a cycle of 4 beats, right? It gives us 1 beat of a rest, so we have time to play again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just practice playing along with that in time and keep it simple, especially if you're a beginner. If you've got keyboard skills, go to town in this part. But after you've practiced that for a bit, the next thing we're going to do is record that. And I want you to watch the recording process before trying it along with me because it's a little bit complicated. I want to record into this first empty clip slot. And we can see that it is already indicated that it's red, it's empty, it's ready for a recording. Also indicated by the record button in the clip slot there. I can record into either of these clip slots, but let's just record into the top one to keep it simple. As soon as I launch this recording by tapping that pad, we're going to hear the metronome again, but we're not recording yet. We turned on the count in the preferences. It's going to count to 4 beats, just like we've already heard, and then start recording on the next downbeat. And then when it's time to loop our recording, I'm going to tap that pad again and it will hopefully loop. Just watch that process. Tap this pad and you'll hear the metronome count us in. 1, 2, ready, record. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, record. Now, where are my notes? Actually just done something that's a very, very common mistake that you can fall into with launching clips and recording clips like this. So I did that on purpose. So let's press play. You can hear that the sound, it does play. It did record what we played. Dum, dum, dum. But then there's this long gap at the end. What's going on there? If I double click the clip, you can see that we played our 3 notes for 1 bar, then we played another 3 notes for another bar, bar 1, bar 2. A bar is just a grouping of 4 beats. But then there's an extra bar at the end, all that empty space, and that is because I hit the record button too late. I can't hit record after the next downbeat. I have to hit the record button before the next downbeat where I want it to loop. It's that launch quantization coming back to haunt us. So I'm going to click that clip, delete it again, and repeat that exact same process, but loop it properly this time. Pay attention to when I hit this pad for a second time to create a perfectly even loop. Here we go. Count in, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the next downbeat, we've looped perfectly. No long gap at the end here. Just a perfect loop. And let's press play. stop that from playing for now. Now, if you're a real beginner and you're getting comfortable with both playing keys and the software side of things at the same time, don't be discouraged if this takes a bit of practice and a bit of understanding and maybe even a rewatch. This is a pretty complicated concept, but it's nothing you can't do. And also, I'm going to delete that clip that we just made, and I'm going to bring our tempo back up, launch our drums, turn our metronome off, and just to show that this is a lot of fun once you get a hang of it, making these loops. And this is how you start to sort of build up songs. And once you get the hang of it, it is a lot of fun, and the Launchkey is an excellent tool to build up fun performances like that, or it's also a good writing tool if you're just in the groove and you want to loop an idea that you're playing. One final thing to note, you notice that we've got that keyboard pattern, and then we've also got the drums. There's 2 drum clips here that I can change between, but certainly we'll want to make more than 2 loops per track, right? That's where these arrows come into play without holding shift. Just press the arrow down and notice on screen that the yellow box around the session view clips is moving, and our grid, if I actually stop all the clips here and just stay in clip launch mode, the grid on the Launchkey is going to reflect the grid that we see on the screen. We're going down just one scene or one row. We've got 2 empty clips here on the synth, and we're seeing just that second drum loop now on the top row. And we can navigate all the way down for as many clips as we have. But with these basic techniques and this basic understanding of both the Launchkey and Ableton Live Lite, you can really start to use the keyboard as a tool for both writing music and performing music. Again, don't be discouraged if any of the concepts covered here seem a little difficult to grasp at first. This is something that takes a bit of study and a bit of practice, and that's totally normal. Do not feel discouraged if you don't get this right away, especially if you're brand new to music. This will take you some time to really get the feel of, but practice really does make perfect. Don't feel bad if you need to rewatch some of the parts of this video, or if you need to just dedicate some time to doing it over and over again until it feels natural. If you have any suggestions for future episodes or questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget, channel members get early access to new episodes and an ad-free version of this course. Click the join button to find out more. Thank you once again to DistroKid, our sponsor for this chapter. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.